Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back, dude, to another episode of the YoYoYo podcast with Martin and Hooter.
What's up, Hooter? How you doing?
What is up?
Dude, we got a special guest in the studio today. Pancho Moler is joining us.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for having me on the show.
Bro, thank you for coming. Dude, you're a busy freaking dude.
Yeah, it's been nice. You know,
Yeah.
Because acting's got its ups and downs, but you're patient, your stuff comes out, and just so happens that I got blessed and 2 movies came out at the same time, and that does not happen.
Caught lightning
At least
in
not
a
for me.
fucking bottle.
Yes.
That's awesome. I got to be honest with you. When your publicist hit me up to have you on, she said, I need to get Pancho. And I didn't even hear Moler. I just heard Pancho, right?
Yeah.
And immediately I assumed this is a Spanish-speaking dude, you know, who is, you know, crossing over and blah, blah, blah. And then I look you up and I hear you talking. I'm like, this is no fucking Pancho. This is like Beto O'Rourke. Like, you know, I thought Beto was gonna be like a cowboy hat wearing dude, you know. And so when I saw Pancho, but your English is fucking flawless. You don't
Yeah.
have an accent, anything like that.
Well, I came to the United States with my mom when I was 7, so I was immediately in school, and so when you're in school from that age, your accent starts to go away. I only knew Spanish. Pero si quieres hablar español, podemos hablar español
Whoa.
también. So it just transitions back and forth.
Where are you originally from?
Santiago, Chile.
Santiago de Chile. Okay, so you're not Mexican.
No, not at all.
Okay, cool. Dude.
But I speak Mexican. In California, if you speak
Speak
Spanish, everyone's just
Mexican.
like, oh, you speak Mexican? I'm like, I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so that was my bad for assuming that the Pancho was going to be. And I even asked Veronica, I said, you know, I just started a podcast in Spanish. Would he want to do Spanish? She goes, no, he's more English. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, all right, well, we'll get Pancho on the English one. It sounds like Pancho should be doing, you know, Telemundo and shit, right?
So you do them both in Spanish and English.
I do.
That's awesome.
I just started a new podcast called No Te Asustes.
Ah, yeah.
And it's in 100% in Spanish.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I'm fluent. I don't know how fluent you are.
I'm
with
pretty
Spanish.
fluent, but when it comes to doing interviews in Spanish, I'm so in my head about like trying to come off intelligent and like educated. And we go to Spanish, and I'll just be thinking about the word forever of like, how do I translate that?
Dude, that's how I think.
Yeah,
bro.
so
That's
I'm like,
exactly
you
how
know
I
it,
think.
you understand it, you can speak it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, for this, let's keep it in English, and I'll go in and out of it, so I don't sound like a complete dumbass.
No, 100% in English.
I'm an imposter.
But listen, dude, you've got freaking. Your resume is freaking phenomenal.
Thank you.
I mean, you came here when you say when you were 7.
Yes.
7 years old. Do you remember living in Chile at all?
I do remember living in Chile, and I also because I went back and forth from the age of 7 to like the age of like 26. Back and forth going to visit my family. That a lot of my immediate family lives here in the States, but all my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, everybody lives still in Chile. So I would go back and visit back and forth, and then it just come to the point where it's like it got expensive. You know?
Sure.
And some of the people that I would go visit died, you know, God bless their souls. But so it just slowly transitioned to just not going back as much.
When's the last time you were out there?
Man, it's been like 15 years.
50. Well, that's still pretty short,
Yeah.
relatively speaking. I haven't been to Mexico where my family's from. Holy shit, maybe in over 20 years.
Okay.
Over 20
And
years.
Mexico's kind of close. I mean, I guess I don't know where you're
Thanks for
from in
making me feel
Mexico.
like shit.
You're a shitty ass
No, I'm
relative,
saying, like,
man, bro.
Shitty ass relative. It's right there.
If you fly to Chile, it's literally 16 hours.
Holy fuck. That's
So that
like-
sucks.
Dude.
I didn't know that, dude. I
Yeah.
thought it was a lot closer.
No, Chile is like the fucking butthole tip of.
Yeah,
of-
it's all along the coast, but when you're flying to Santiago, it's closer to the bottom of Chile.
Yeah. Wow.
Country.
Now, when you came to the States, did you already speak English?
No, not at all. I didn't know a lick of English, and so my mom, she divorced my dad, and she came with me to the States. The first place we lived in was Hawaii. So my first
Hawaii?
language was a broken English. You know, pidgin is what they call it in Hawaii. So everything was the thing, the stuff. What up, brada? You know. How you stay good. So that was my English first, and then it's slowly like, so it wasn't, I just, and that's what I thought was right, because all I knew was Spanish, and then this other like English like form that was, you know, I had to, and then when we moved to California after that, it was like nobody understood what the fuck I was saying. So I had to transition to that English, and so it's been a journey. It's been fun.
How long were you in Hawaii, bro?
I was there for 3.5 years.
So the immigrant struggle means
yeah.
nothing to you.
No, not at all. No.
You go freaking straight to the island, bro. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice. It was I have a lot of friends and family that live there. Not immediate family, but people I'm gonna, you know, live with or know for the rest of my life.
It was such a struggle journey on the plane over the ocean.
Oh, goodness.
Beeline straight to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Bro, that's freaking badass, man. So you live in Hawaii for X amount of time, for 3 years. Then you moved to California. Where at in California?
In California, I lived in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Yeah, and I went to school, and that's when my English started getting a little better. I only spoke Spanish at home with my mom, and you know it's weird, like when you're like younger, like like going into like puberty and stuff, and then like junior high, it's like, I don't know, like I went through some weird stage where like I was embarrassed that like I spoke Spanish. It was such a weird, like, it was like peer pressure and stuff.
What year were you in school, dude?
But like when I was like 13 years old, you know, 14 years old, you're kind of slowly and then you have like your buddies, your friends, and it was like a weird transition for me where now I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Because living in Southern California, if you know Spanish, you're like on another level of other people. You know, you can barter with people. It's like people like take you more seriously, especially because Southern California is like a lot of it, like 50% is Latinos. So I enjoy it. I love it. You know,
I feel like that those years from 12 to 15, I feel people are just embarrassed about everything. Dude.
Yeah, of course.
Like looking back, I feel like, dude, why was I embarrassed about that? It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I do remember those ages being weird about a lot of stuff.
It wasn't just me. It was for a lot of people that spoke other languages or that migrated to the States and wanted to blend in, you know. And
they didn't want to be called beaners. They didn't want to be called wetbacks. They didn't want to be because kids are fucking brutal, bro. Like I can't imagine.
I'm already being called midget, and then like to add on top like a beaner or something else, I'm just like, okay, that's too much. That's two words, too much.
And I was just that leads me to my next question is like, you know, today there are campaigns like anti-bullying and acceptance and things like that. Back, you know, I'm guessing that you were in elementary school sometime in the 80s or 90s or something like that, right?
Yeah, 80s, like 80s. Late 80s.
Late 80s. So back then, it was like fucking brutal. I mean, if you were gay, you were like, they were calling you a fag. They were calling you.
I didn't even know any gay people back in back in those times.
They didn't want to come out.
Because it was scary to come out.
It was scary to come out. There was no support. You were ostracized. Like people weren't as accepting. I mean, and look, and a lot of it was brought on by, you know, a lot of people's religious beliefs that if you suck a dick, you go to hell, you know, and so therefore freaking this person must be an evil fucking human for doing that. The fuck you laughing at?
This motherfucker must be the devil next to me in sixth period, bro.
This little devil cocksucker
this
over
flaming motherfucker over here, dude.
Dude, it was horrible. So, and with that said, as a little person back then, nobody was freaking, you know, saying little person. Nobody was saying
no, it
this.
was just midget, like, and like, there's even like a definition for it. But technically, I'm a dwarf. The midgets are technically like the jockeys. They're just petite. They're like their limbs are normal. Everything's normal. They're just more petite people. Dwarves and what I am, my dwarfism is achondroplasia. Same with Brad Williams. We have big heads. We have the normal torso. We have shorter arms and shorter legs. That's it. Everything here is fine, guys.
Less than in one ass.
You're packing heat in between, bro.
This is Pancho Villa.
Pancho Pistolas.
Dude, yeah. So now you obviously overcome all of that shit, and then when do you get into the skating world? Because you were a successful fucking skater as well.
Yeah, no, that's
You've had a fucking charmed life.
yeah. I can't complain. I never saw myself as a little person like until it started. I was very competitive with sports growing up. I was really fast. You know, I had a low center of gravity, and I just never like really like saw myself as a little person, especially in school. You don't ever really see yourself. And it just got to the point where I wasn't being picked for sports anymore. You know, it was, so it was like I was almost like outcast. And that sucked. So one day I was at a mall with my mom, and it was like Christmas time. And there was these dudes that were skateboarding right outside, skating this curb outside the mall.
How old were you?
I was probably about 13 years old, 13, 14, and 13 years old. And I was like, Mom, you go inside. I was supposed to go shopping with her. I'm going to stay out here. I'll be right here. I'm going to just watch these guys. And I watched them for like a couple hours, and I was just so amazed. They were having such a good time, and they were just in their own world.
You'd never skated,
and I never skated. I never saw it. It was like they were sidewalk surfing, but they were doing tricks and stuff. And so my mom came out, and I was like, Mom, that's what I want for Christmas. And she ended up getting me a skateboard, and I just never looked back. It was a sport that like just gratified me, and I could do on my own. I didn't have a coach barking orders at me. I wasn't waiting to be picked for something that I loved and was good at. And slowly the progression started, and I started to get better and better. And as long as I got good grades, my parents were very supportive of me doing this, because they didn't get sick of it, but they were just a little bit discouraged that I was just going in and out of sports. And it wasn't because of anything to do with like me not liking the sport anymore. It was just, it had to do with society not accepting me in it. And so when I found something that accepted me and that I could do on my own, they were just very supportive of it. And that's how I got better and better, and I met the right friends, and we made a sponsor me video, and I got sponsored right away.
No shit.
Yeah. But the weird thing was like, you know, seeing yourself on video, because I never watched myself. You know, the only time I ever saw like my size was, or the way I looked was when you would walk across the mirror. I never saw the way I looked skateboarding or anything. So when I saw myself on video and like kind of keeping up with all these other guys, it was like a weird feeling, because I was like, holy shit, I am different. Like I look fucking like weird. Like I look like, and it was because you always want to be the same.
Dude, what a moment that
and I was just like, what the fuck? And then it was like almost like I hated seeing videos of myself because of that. And it wasn't like I hated myself. I didn't want to be different. And as you get a little older, you start to realize that being different makes you unique.
Sure.
And so as soon as I started to accept that, I just didn't even care anymore. And that's when the progression started. And that's when like my skateboarding just went to another level.
Bro, so skateboarding sounds like it was more therapeutic than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And like that's a huge breakthrough to not only have the realization that I'm different, and then to go from there to say, but I embrace the fucking different, you know, because there's a lot of people that have a struggle with that, and they never outgrow. And not necessarily, I'm not talking about little people. I'm just talking about somebody that maybe has a mole or a scar or some kind of deformity,
lazy eye,
physical, anything with our physical appearance that isn't what
like women even like that. There's nothing wrong with them, but they get changed in all these different ways because they're so insecure.
100%. Yeah. Again, it doesn't even have to be any kind of scar or anything. It's just a regular body. But as a woman, my tits aren't big enough.
Yeah.
As a man, my tits are too big.
Yeah.
My ass is too fucking small. My this is too that. My this is too that. You know, I've always had skinny ass legs and a big ass upper body. You know, and like I've always like fucking. You know, I like it's you don't do fucking legs or what?
Skip
bro?
leg day, bro.
Fucking no leg day, bro. No, my dad had polio, and so me and my sisters all have. My dad's legs, his thighs were probably about as big as my wrist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
And that's from the polio?
that's from the polio,
Okay.
yeah. And so he was born in 1931 with polio. And so that had to have had an effect on my genes. It has nothing to do with
yeah.
fucking leg day.
My dad starts explaining that every time we joke around and say, "You skip leg day, bro." And then he gives us this story, and then everybody feels bad. Everybody stops laughing, and they're like, "Oh shit, all right, we won't make fun of your leg."
When the you never heard me even say this story, you piece of shit. You cocksucking pig. Cocksucking pig.
And then I was like, "All right, let's move on to the next joke, bro."
No, your legs are fine, Martin.
And then we start complimenting them. No, but they suit you, bro. They look really good in those shorts.
Yeah.
You look like a big old butterball turkey.
It's funny, dude.
God
Yeah, so
damn it.
everyone's got their insecurities.
For sure. So now you skateboard for how long you
So I
you
go
were the
through-
first little dude skateboarding,
yeah,
correct?
you know what's funny is there was another little guy that was coming up at the same time as me, which was Wee Man, Jason Acuna. He's a good friend of mine. But back then, like with skateboarding and with the way society was, like it was a thing where whenever I got interviewed in magazines or any questions came up, it was like always like they were trying to start some kind of fight, some kind of conflict of so who's a better skater, you or Wee Man, or who do you think would win in a fight? And it was always like, why can't I just be like, why are you comparing me to him all the time? Why is that happening? So with that, I just really focused on like just getting better and better and better and keeping up with all my friends that were really good. And so it was just about progression for me and about the love of the sport, as opposed to like when Wee Man was a really good skateboarder too, but I mean his career took off with Jackass, and I feel like a lot of it, he became more mainstream as opposed to he still loves skateboarding, he still does it every day, but I don't know if that took away from progression, because you don't really have to, like, you're fucking famous now.
You're not hungry.
Mm-hmm. You're not as hungry, or you are, but for different things.
Your focus is in a whole different place.
So I get that, because I feel the same way now. My focus is in a whole different place. But so I skate, and you know, like with skateboarding is like you're growing up, everything is free. You're getting paid to like. All your trips are free. You're going everywhere. Everything you own, Nike shoes, Volcom clothing, like everything is free, and you don't have to pay for anything.
This was your teenage years.
Yeah, my teenage to adult to adult years. Like from like 16 to like the age of like 28. I became
those are freaking.
Yeah, 29. So I was like, I graduated high school, and then it was like, okay, do you want to continue? Do you want to go to college? And I went to college for like a semester. Mm-hmm. And then it was like I was just taking the same shit I took in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to be. And so then I was given this opportunity. I'm like, do you want to travel the world with skateboarding and potentially become a professional skateboarder?
Bro.
Or do you want to, continue with this college stuff? And I was like,
take algebra 2, bro.
I'll do that. I'll do that one. So that's what I did, and my parents were cool with it because they saw me making a living off of it. And
bro, so you traveled the world
everywhere, man. And now it was all through skateboarding. I was getting so much love, and thank God to like the cool companies I skated for that believed in me. Like it was great, but. What happened with that was,
chicks love skateboarders.
Yes.
Before you move on to whatever you're gonna say, chicks love skateboarders.
I when I was younger, like and going through like school and stuff, I was kind of like I was not that. There was so much peer pressure that even if a girl liked me, it was like their friends would be like, "Oh, you're gonna date him," and it was like the peer pressure came in. Mm-hmm. So as I got a little older and became like known in the skate world, it wasn't that hard, but I don't think they were like, they didn't really like me. They just wanted to, sleep with like a professional skateboarder or someone that's somewhat famous or the most famous person in school.
And there's
with
nothing
what he
wrong
does.
with that.
But it's also like,
take it.
Yeah, I did take it. But I also feel it was like girls like dudes that are like good at something,
yes.
And they're more into that. Than
the dude himself.
And so
sure. And it's okay to be used.
Yeah. So it even got to the point where I would go to skate demos, and the little kids, that glorified the professional skateboarders. We were doing the demo in their town, and we'd be in and out of their town. The little kids would bring their older sisters, and then it was just like the older sisters would see how much they're like these young kids adore and glorify these professional skateboarders, that you would end up, doing something with the older sister or whatnot, and then you're like,
that's fucking dope.
Yeah, and they were pretty hot.
Are you kidding me, bro? I just looked for the little motherfuckers with a sister, bro. Like, all right, here's a skateboard for you, bro. Here's a skateboard for you. I got 6 more ready to go, dude.
That's kind of how it was, because you would go to the town and you would do the skateboard demo. The kids, the local kids, would take you throughout their town through their skate spots, and then at night you can't skate no more. It was before we would light up spots and skate them at night when they were closed. So they would throw a party for us, and that's when But then that was good, and I really like embrace it. But that's when partying got involved, and partying became more important than skateboarding, and that's kind of like. It's not a regret I have, because you can't have any regrets, but then at the same time, I'm like, shit, man. Like, I wish I kind of like just stayed more focused, because maybe I could have had a longer career with that, or maybe not. I don't know.
How long did you ride out the skateboarding?
Till I was about 28 years old. Whoa. But my peak of skateboarding when I was 25.
Best memory of skateboarding. 25.
Man, best memory of skateboarding was qualifying. I was in Germany, and I just had some headphones on, and we're doing the Germany Monster Contest, and it was qualification day, and it was like me against like 50 other skateboarders, and I was just in my own world. It was like when skateboarding was just so fun, and I had like my headphones on, and you get like a minute to do a run throughout their whole street course that they had. They have ramps, they have rails, they have, ledges, pyramids, all kinds of different skate obstacles. And I just went for a minute and just landed every trick. And I didn't it was like I had my headphones on, so I couldn't tell that my time was up. And I just kept going, and they just let me keep going. And someone had to stop me. And it was like the best feeling, because that, like, usually, like, when your runs come up, you're so under pressure. They yell your name. All eyes are on you. Like, the spotlight's on you. Even when, like, you were skateboarding and, like, you were going to film a trick, and then you landed it a few times, and you're like, all right, break out the camera. Let's do it. And then you don't even get close. And I think it was, like, because the fucking camera was there, you would start yelling. You would just you'd break your board. You'd blame it on the board like it's the board's fault.
Of course.
So that moment was just so it was like a breakthrough for me of like just like I feel like enjoying life, but almost like a moment of like surfers have when they ride that perfect wave and they go through the tube and they come out of it and they're just it's like, oh man, it's a breakthrough, and that's what
chills, bro.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. Huh?
Do you remember what you were listening to?
I think I was listening. I used to be a hip hop head. I still am, but now I'm just more open-minded because I don't want to miss out on stuff, good music. So I think it was Black Sabbath. No, but at that particular time, it was definitely Black Sabbath. Like, Black Sabbath was the shit.
You're listening to Black Sabbath?
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah. Children of the Grave. I love it. That's one of my favorite songs.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I was into everything. I started being open-minded into everything. Back in the day, it was like, you had the fresh skaters that were like super yo'd out and they listened to only hip hop, and then you had like the punk rock skaters, and there wasn't a tension there, but it was like we had all skateboarding, so no matter what, we were just still a family. If anything, that's what we could talk about.
All right, and so then after 28, you're like, no more skating.
What stopped? How did
after 28, what happened was skateboarding like took a weird like.
You said you were partying.
Yeah, it was partying and stuff, but also like before, skateboard companies were owned by skateboarders, like skateboarders that, like now it's not their generation no more. And so then it became like businessmen owning skateboard and like the skateboard companies, which is all good. But then you have these dudes that have no idea how to skateboard telling you like how to skate, like what to do. It became like you were getting coached by dudes that don't even know what the fuck's going on.
So it became a corporate setting.
Yeah, it became a corporate, and that kind of made me lose the love for it. But at the same time, I was like getting older. being a little person, you're already prone to having a bad lower back. I never injured my back skateboarding, but I just started slowing down, and it just wasn't as fun for me no more. And then at the age, and so I wasn't, you know, you if you're not on top, you're slowly depleting and diminishing, and I was still getting free stuff, but I wasn't getting paid no more, and you have to kind of transition to a different career or a different path and I was always kind of embarrassed to be the dude that like used to be a pro skateboarder, but now he like works retail at a skate shop, you know, and I have nothing against that. You do what you got to do. But for me, that was just like, damn, like that's kind of I don't know if I could go through that.
Right.
You know, and I feel like the dudes that do that, like that, I admire them because they're still in the game, and they're still like, you know, it shows true passion for your craft. Where maybe I feel like, I don't know, like my wife was always like, maybe you should manage a skateboard team, or, you know, and I was like, hell no, because the skateboard teams managers that we fucking had, like we put through hell, dude. Like we put through fucking hell, and I don't think I would want to be put through hell like that. It would be like a karma. Like, you know, partying and not showing up on time and showing up drunk, or fucking getting arrested by the police, and them having to like,
but bro, seriously,
like just take you, like bill you out for everything, and then you just going, fuck you, that's your job, you asshole. You know, and then they're just dealing with hell from these dudes, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. They'll like stuff me like in like a garbage can somewhere and leave me, or you know, do something shitty to me. So it's like, fuck that job.
But listen, like, not to defend being crazy motherfuckers on the road, but when you're that young, you're traveling internationally, you're partying, you feel like you're on top of the fucking world, and it's like, fuck you, bro. You're gonna tell me what time is check-in or curfew or eat a dick. Like, let me live my life type of a thing, you know? So I not to make an excuse for it, but I understand.
I understand it too. And like, you know, I was a victim of it, and I fully loved it. And, you know, I just, I wouldn't want to put myself through that at this age. So skateboarding slowly started to end for me. I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And, you know, not having like a big time education, I kind of, you know, just slowly transitioned to like working at like the Saddle Ranch on Sunset. Me and my girlfriend at the time moved from San Francisco down to Los Angeles because she was a costume designer, and she was really good at it. And so I wanted to support her, so we moved down here. And I was still getting free product, free stuff. I would sell like all my boxes, keep a board from it, and you know, kind of like make enough money to eat and stuff. And then I got a job at the Saddle Ranch.
This is in your late 20s.
Yeah, and my girlfriend at the time, I mean, she was just fucking like crazy, and she would get really jealous of like any girl that spoke to me or any of that. In the Saddle Ranch, like that's what you deal with.
There's
is
a
just
lot of
like
hot chicks
a lot of hot chicks that are drunk talking to you, like maybe wanting to fuck you and cross you off their bucket list. I don't fucking know, but so she was really jealous. So it was really hard to deal with that. I just wanted to work and not deal with that. And so that job lasted for a little bit, but the good thing about it was you know, you get a lot of industry people walking in and out of there, and there was a manager that walked in, and he took an interest to me, and I didn't know what it was for or anything. I didn't really know I knew about acting because I saw actors going in and out of there, but I was like, he took an interest in me and was like, hey, we can make money. I'm not sure if you're an actor, but you have a good physique, and you know, you have a good charisma about you. You're handsome. I think we can make money. And at first I was like, what is this for? You know? And then I looked him up, and I saw his client list, and I was like, oh shit. Okay. Maybe I'll give this a shot. And then I got a job. My first job was on this John Mellencamp music video. I was the lead of it, and it was called Walk Tall. And I got to meet him, and it was a whole reverse on racism thing where the whole town was like against the little dude, and the little dude was in love with an average sized girl, and no one was accepting that. And at the end, he ends up riding off with her like on his like tri-bike into the sunset. Sick. And it was a beautiful video. And that's kind of when I saw that, I was like, and how it affected other people, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Bro,
this is what I want to do. Can I stop you
for a second?
Yes, of course.
Had acting even crossed your mind up until that point?
Not really. I mean, I just had a good like. I was always I always have I had like a good sense of direction, and I could memorize things. I have like a photographic memory for certain things, not all things.
Sure.
But for like dialogue and shit, it was just there. It was always there for me. But the hard part was like making every word mean something to you. And so the weird transition was to coming from a skateboard background where if you don't try something, you're a fucking pussy or whatnot. The weird transition for me, or stop crying, you fucking baby, just do it, was to allow myself to be emotionally vulnerable and know that it's okay and trust myself. And so that was what was hard for me at first. And once I started to figure out by taking different classes and studying with different people, it became easier for me.
So this dude literally, like, you don't hear stories of people getting discovered, quote unquote, anymore. It's like people have to bust their asses to, get a role and go on a million auditions and hear no a shit ton of times. This dude came to you and said, we can do this shit.
Yeah, we can do it. And it was good. It was a good experience. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned that I wasn't, a good actor. It was going to take a lot of training to kind of like, for me to like, to mold into this guy that I am now. But it was okay, and I was willing
to put in the work.
To put in the work, just like skateboarding. I always thought, I'm like, damn, skateboarding, I did it every day, 8 hours a day, and that's like a lot of practice. That's like going to school every day, 8 hours a day for a long time. And then I thought of like, damn, you see these doctors that become doctors that go to school. You can't just become a doctor and wing it. Like you have to go to school for it. That's why they make the big bucks.
Right.
So I thought of like that. I kind of thought of the same thing with acting. For me, I wasn't a good actor. There's the natural actors and there's the trained actors. I'm a trained actor. You put a natural actor in acting class, it'll make him worse. You put me in acting class, it'll make me better. And I started studying with a bunch of different people.
What did you just said? A natural actor and a trained actor.
Yeah. A natural actor is someone that just has it.
Like John Wayne.
Yeah, like John Wayne, or like Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, Marlon Brando, like dudes dudes that just have it. They just know what they need to do. And they just wing it. They go with their impulses. They don't question their thoughts. They just, whatever's in the moment, they do it. I wasn't like that. I had to learn how to do that and trigger emotions and do all that. And so it was a long process for me, but eventually, like, I started, trusting myself, and then here we are, But acting is such an unstable business. Like, even now, like, it was like, and especially going into the acting world, what happened was, like, I was kind of pigeonholed into this, like, when I would audition, I would auditioning with all little people.
Sure.
Okay, get this, okay? So I've never really been across other little people, and there was every size, like, and I was the tallest one. So it was like dudes that were up to like my waist, dudes that were up to my chest, like girls, dudes, and like really old dudes and really young dudes, and I was the tallest one. And I would get turned down from jobs because they said I was too tall.
Stop
I was like, I've never been too fucking tall for anything. Are you serious about this? This dude's fucking laughing. I'm serious, dude. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But so it was always like a height contrast thing where they're putting you with the lead actor in the film. They want it to be, you were always kind of like the butt of the joke.
Sure.
And it took like actors like Peter Dinklage to kind of break through that.
That's I didn't even think about that. But there's got to be like, just like if you're a Latino going out on auditions, a lot of times they want you to play the gangbanger or the cholo, the fucking whatever, typecast it's gonna be. So for a little person, it's always got to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah, the butt of the joke.
It's not gonna be like a serious role.
It was never a serious role.
But fucking Peter changed the fucking game, bro.
Yeah, he did.
That right there, I think, is like, because I don't know any other. I can't think of any other role that a little dude has done.
Yeah.
That has been that fucking
captivating. You're just like, okay, this dude's good.
Dude,
you forget about him being a little person until like he walks away or something. But
yeah.
So that was really inspiring for me in a sense that I didn't, even with commercial stuff, I didn't want to go out for things that no more. And I think
shoot me out of a cannon, bro.
I think it kind of was discouraging for agents to deal with me, that agents that I had, even managers, and I'm sorry for that. But I just didn't want to do that no more. It's like it's not even a pride thing. It's not something that I feel that I'm too good for. But I just don't want to do that. There's other dudes that are going to do it, and I'm not going to judge it. But I have some fucking training. Like I've been doing this a long time, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go in here and sing and dance and jump around and have no lines and then be like, okay, cut. Here's your check. That's fine and dandy, and it's show business. I just don't want to do that.
What was the first role that you had that was like, okay, fuck all that other crap. I want to do this. They're respecting me as a fucking actor here.
You know what? Like, it took a long time. I mean, the Walk Tall video, that was the first thing that happened. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and then it didn't happen for a long time. That's
got to be frustrating.
It was frustrating, but I wasn't thinking that way at the time. I just wanted to do stuff, and I started working on doing a lot of commercial stuff and doing those jobs that I didn't want to do, and it was with other little people too. And I remember doing a Big Lots job, where it was a buyout, and it was like 8 of us, 8 little motherfuckers just walking around, and it was a buyout, but they were having us do. I know, it was funny. It was even for me. And it was like kind of surreal, because you're with all these dudes, and like women and stuff, and everyone's super cool with each other, and everyone's willing to do whatever it takes to get that paycheck. But they were like, okay, we're paying $2,500 for one spot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, cool. And it's like 2 days of work, $2,500. Hey, that's not bad. Yeah. But then I realized that I'm like, dude, they're doing like 5 different spots. I heard them saying that they're doing 5 different spots, and that means we're gonna use. I'm like, we should be getting like 5 times of what we're getting paid for now. And everyone was like scared about it. And then me and my other buddy were like, let's go talk to them. And so, I'm like, is everyone with us? Does anyone want to come and try to get more money, bro. Guide them, like be the fucking leader, whatever?
Fucking little Cesar Chavez over here.
And so we walked up to them and we're like, hey, so we heard that we're getting paid for 1 spot, but you guys are doing 5 spots, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, technically, I'm like, we should be getting paid this much money instead of this much money, and I don't know why we're there. I'm like, and you guys are doing 5 spots, so. I'm like, so this is what we want to get paid. And they were like, they looked at us. They're like, okay, let us go talk to the producers, but we're not sure, 5 minutes later, they come up and they were like, we'll give you guys $9,000 each. Because I spoke up, we got $9,000. Me and my buddy spoke up. We got $9,000 each for all these other dudes. They should be kissing my ass.
Yeah, you
but
should
have
fucking taxed them 25%, bro. You should have like, give me some of that fucking check.
But
hey,
you know 10%, what?
10%, you cocksucking pigs.
But then what happened was, when I called my manager at the time and told him, hey, this is what they're doing, he's like, well, this is what you agreed to, so just do it. And I was like, motherfucker, So I hung up and I went and did it anyway, and I got paid. I got us all paid. And my manager tried to get 15% of that.
I was going to say, no, you should say this is what you agreed to, so this is what you're going to get, you fuck.
Yeah, and I ended up giving it to him.
No.
But because I don't want to get blackballed. Sometimes, and it was fine. But when someone tries to tell you that, we were able to get you 8,000 instead of this, I'm like, you didn't do that. I did that, or 9,000. I did that. You told me to like just do it, suck it up and do it. And so that was weird. That kind of brought me into like kind of knowing like the backside of the industry of
the business,
the business of like how it is, how sometimes it works,
Sure.
And so that that's discouraging as well, because you don't want to deal with that stuff. Nobody does, but it is what it is. And I'm grateful to be here now. And so, yeah, with the long story short, I fired that person. And then, so it's been a hard road in the sense that acting can be unstable, but it's what I love and it's all I see myself doing. And I've worked really hard, just like skateboarding, to do it. So I want to get not to the top, but I just want to be a working actor. That's it.
Bro, you say you want to be a working actor. People that you've got 2 goddamn movies out right now.
Yes, I do.
You know, and tell us a little bit about freaking Candy Corn.
Okay, Candy Corn. We shot it. It was a project that was just a passion project between me and 3 friends. Me, my friend Justin Mabry, and my friend Josh Hasty, who's the writer director of it. I met him on shooting 31 when I shot my first Rob Zombie film about 4 years ago, and I met him in that project. He shot the documentary called "In Hell Everybody Loves Popcorn," and we met. The behind the scenes stuff, we met. He liked me. We became friends, and he wrote this movie, and he offered me a role, and he offered me the lead role, and I was ecstatic. You know,
was that your first lead?
Yeah, it was my first lead. It was such a great role. My character's name is Dr. Death. He's the leader of a traveling carnival. He was born and bred into it. He's encountered many hardships in life, as we all have, but he's learned from them. He's arrogant. He's calm. He's always a dude that knows most in the room, but he kind of keeps quiet to himself unless he needs to unleash. And all the workers that work for him, they become his instant family, and he'll do anything to protect them. So that's his background. And so we created this movie. Josh created this movie, and we were able to, he's like, but it's going to be hard. We're only going to be able to shoot a sizzle reel. This is a scene I want to shoot from the sizzle reel, is the resurrection of Jacob, the other lead character, the killer, the slasher. And so we shot this scene, and we were able to raise $30,000. And so we were able to shoot 2 other scenes. And then we raised a little bit of money from that, and we shot 2 other scenes. And then producers got involved because it just became bigger than us. And then, when the producers got involved, they wanted to change Josh's story. They wanted to take over creative control of it. So Josh said no. So then it took like three years to get this made. We finally found a producer, and that financed the whole rest of the movie, and we were able to shoot it. And then the weird thing about that is, it took 3 years to film it, but it only took 3 months to edit it. Usually it's like the other way around, you know. You're like, it'll take like a month to film it, and then it's like you're waiting a year and a half, 2 years for it to even come out and for people to know what it is.
How long was each scene?
I mean, there were short scenes and then bigger scenes, but the scenes were like, 2 minutes long, just little scenes that we were able to shoot with the money that we had. Josh was very like meticulous of what he wanted, but he also wanted to show that we had like a big production value going on, which we did, and make it super artsy and like just look really real. It's a period piece that's based in the 80s, so he wanted awesome. Like the show like the 80s horror feeling, that whole eerie feeling of. We used no CGI, so that was good. So all the gags are real. Instead of like just adding blood at the end with the CGI, which was really cool. That they were very like that's really what Josh wanted to show, like that 80s horror feeling. And
so the whole movie was already done. You guys just cut it up in scenes when it came to recording.
And then the only scene that we reshot was the crowdfunding scene that we did from the beginning, because we just wanted to make it look iller, we just more. Josh had a different vision of how we wanted that to look, so we reshot that scene too. But yeah, it was like a 3-year process. We were able to get it done, and now it's out, and it's the perfect Halloween treat. That's what like reviewers are saying, and that's all he wanted to do, was the perfect Halloween movie based in Ohio, in the town where he comes from, where you could see the whole fall season just coming into play, the trick-or-treaters coming out, and it's all real. That's what he wanted to focus on.
Dude, Halloween is so fucking big, dude. I mean, you got movies, you've got freaking parties, it is such, I mean, people don't want to let go of Halloween. Yeah. Like, horror films have their own, and I want to talk about the Rob Zombie movie too, but I'm going to get off on a little side note here. Horror movie fans are a whole different level of fan. Yeah. They are, I mean, they know the entire fucking dialogue. They remember every scene. They are it's like wrestling fans.
Oh no, they're definitely like that, or Comic-Con fans. Like I did Rob Zombie's 31 about 4 years ago. That was like the other movie that I was going to talk about, which was a breakthrough role for me. It wasn't a gimmick. And Rob, like when I auditioned for his film, it was just something that I had no idea it was a Rob Zombie film. It was just, you're a killer clown in this film. Here's the dialogue. Let's see what you do with it.
And you didn't know it was a Rob Zombie
I didn't know it was a Rob Zombie film. I ended up booking it. And then my manager at the time was like, hey, you know, this is a Rob Zombie film. This is what it's going to be called, 31. I got the whole script. Then I went to go meet Rob, and he talked about the character he wanted. And that's when, like,
How was
I
Rob?
was introduced into the horror world.
How was Rob?
Dude, I mean, I follow him from music. I grew
Sure.
up. We all did, like, but
Yep.
for skateboarding, it was like Rob Zombie was huge. You
Yeah.
know, it was rock and roll. It was punk. And it was just inspiring, you know, motivational music that like helped with
get you
skateboarding,
pumped up,
to
yeah.
get you pumped up to do whatever you're gonna do. And so I was already a huge fan of that. So I wasn't sure, and a huge fan of his films, other films, but I wasn't sure like what he was gonna be like on set or like meeting him. And when I met him, he was just like completely normal, just like you, but just really focused and just knew what he wanted with 31. And we talked about the character that he wanted, and then we brought Sickhead to life, which was the character I was. I'm not sure if you saw the movie, but he was
No, I
a
haven't
Nazi
seen it, but I'm gonna see
Hitler
it now.
clown.
Yeah.
Like, so my whole fucking clown outfit was like exactly like, not exactly, but he looked like a replica of like a tiny Hitler.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, that just fucking wanted to murder you. And then Rob added Spanish into the mix. He's like, I see
Nice.
that you speak Spanish in this. I want you to speak Spanish in it too. So it was like, you just had to know what you were doing and get into it and just trust it. You know, you can't lie on your resume and say you speak something and then something like that comes up and you're like, oh, sorry, I just said that on the resume, you know. So I just kind of incorporated Spanish into it, and at first it made no sense to me, which was fine. But then after like kind of doing my research, a lot of the Nazis that didn't die in the war, they all migrated to places like Spain, Chile, Argentina. And so then that's how I was able to create Sickhead and make him a Nazi-speaking fucking dwarf that speaks
crazy.
Spanish, you know. So you have your inner monologue of how to make your character believable and bring them to life. You know, everybody's got their own technique. That was just kind of mine.
Fucking A. And now, do you go to these festivals?
Yes, so that's what introduced me to the horror convention world. I became a part of like the Rob Zombie cult following, you know, and introduced me into this world that I knew the horror genre existed because I'm a huge fan of it, but I didn't know it was like big like this, like behind like, you know, closed doors, like this convention world of all these people that love horror, all these people that are like me. We were all outcasts. And now we can go into this place and just be accepted and be real and, you know, just tell stories and of how much you love this genre or just how much people like loved my character. And that felt so good because as an actor, you work hard on it, but you also in your head, I'm like, who the fuck is going to love a Nazi speaking dwarf fucking you know, that wants to kill you, you know?
Next
But
thing you know, you got
people
love
really
letters.
loved it, you know, like that's like this. So I accepted that and I embraced it. And so I've been doing the convention circuit for a while now and meeting all these awesome fans. And now and then with that said, about a year and a half ago, I got an email from Rob going, hey, it's movie time again. I wrote a follow-up to The Devil's Rejects. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And I'm like, dude, The Devil's Rejects is one of my favorite Rob Zombie films. But I wrote a follow-up to it, and I wrote a pretty badass character for you. Are you down? I was just like, yes, of course. I'm like, you fucking wrote, like no one, like you fight for people to write shit for you. So he's like the first,
Wow,
like one of the
bro.
first directors that's ever like kind of. He's the first, besides Josh, he's the first dude, because I'm going to say Rob Zombie first, because, you know, that's what you fight for. You don't, I mean, auditions are fine and dandy, but when people are writing stuff for you
Yeah.
and, like, trusting you and bringing you in that way, that to me is, like,
That's
an
it's
honor.
a huge
you know?
compliment.
So he wrote this badass character for me, and so then we started shooting about, like, a month later after, you know, and I worked on the character for a while of what he wanted. He wanted my character's name is Sebastian. Mm-hmm. He's a humble soul, warm-hearted dude. He's been through a lot. He's got like this long, shaggy hair just like you.
Nice.
Exactly like you. And he has a long scar, and he's super beardy. He's got a long scar going down his eye, and then he wears an eye patch, and then his teeth are all fucked up. But he's the town muralist in this little town in Mexico, and he does all the paintings in town. And he's also the assistant to like the local hotel manager, who kind of treats him like shit, treats him like dirt, but he doesn't care. And he becomes friends with the Devil's Rejects, and he builds a strong relationship, like a brotherly relationship with Sherry Moon Zombie's character, who's called Baby in the movie. She's the lead character. She's fucking badass in the movie. But they build a strong character to the point where he's going to do anything to defend her. And so Rob gave me that opportunity to showcase range. He's like, I want to see if you can showcase range. I want to see it because I want you to be completely different than your other character. Your other character was fucking out of his mind, psychopath, dude, you know, and this dude is just completely different, warm-hearted dude that's been through a lot, but he means well, and he wants to do whatever he can to like just help. And so to me, I'm like, that's a huge honor, that's a huge trust. Let's do it. And so we shot Through From Hell about a year, like 2 months ago, and now it's come out, and it's really rad because it's getting really good reviews, but also a lot of the fans that already followed me from 31 are like writing to me like, holy shit, like you did a completely different character. You were like the heart of the third act. And oh my God, like, you know, the level that your acting has gone to. And to me, that this is all just like stroking my ego, but I'm like, yeah, cool, awesome, you know, and I'm like, and I don't want to get too big headed or anything, but that as someone that works hard,
yeah,
that feels good, and to feel appreciated feels good, especially from the fans, the people that you do the movies for, you know.
Bro, Three From Hell is getting a shit ton of publicity.
Yeah,
you know, there's a huge, there's a lot of hype behind it. You know, I've seen people posting on social media. It's one thing when there's a big advertising campaign that the studios get behind, but when it's grassroots with the motherfuckers that are fans or motherfuckers that are part of it, it just creates this different type of hype. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like this like
must watch shit.
Must watch. It's like a genuine freaking like, no, this thing's badass. You know.
It one of the cool things about like working with people like Rob Zombie or Josh is, you know, you work on other projects. I'm not gonna name drop anybody or anything, but you work on other projects, and I've been doing this for like 14 years now. And like I said, it's like you're the little person, so you're the fucking gimmick. You're working as a gimmick here. It's no, you know, and so it's really cool to be able to work on like three-dimensional, complex characters that are real, that are human beings, as opposed to just, you know, being like the laugh of the, or not even being the laugh, but just not being taken seriously.
The butt of the joke.
Yeah. So that feels good, and I feel like I'm like shit, like about 4 months ago I auditioned for something and I didn't get the role. But one of the cool things was like sitting in the room with the casting director and her going, okay, I want you to do it this way now. That was really good. I really love what you did. Like, but now try it this way. Add a little bit of this to it. And I was just laying it down. And then I, like, after I left the room, the casting director was just like, she was just like, you know, it's amazing that I've never read you before. Like, how come? Like, it's a huge casting director. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, why, but like, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And like I said, I didn't get the role, but I got really good feedback from, you know, my agent, and they ended up going with an average-sized guy. It was just something where they were like, just see this guy. I know he's not the right look for the role, but just get him in the room, see him.
And now you're in their orbit.
Yeah, and now I'm in the orbit, but it was just, it felt like I walked out of the room going, like, even though I've been in all this other stuff, it was the first time where I felt like, I'm like, damn, I'm a professional actor. Like, this is what I do. Like, I'm a professional actor. And it was like that kind of surreal breakthrough feeling that, you know, it took a long time to feel that way. So, yeah.
You're describing your roles, like one of them is that the crazy fuck, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one's the guy with the heart of gold.
The heart.
Which one is the one that you say, that's what I like to sink my teeth in? What roles do you like? Do you like the crazy motherfucker, or do you like more the, like you said, this dude who's like, you know, the muralist,
the heart and soul?
I like both of them because they're just both different, but you know, I like Dr. Death's character a lot because he's a really good guy, and he's not a good guy. He's just been through a lot, so he comes off like rough around the edges. But he's got a big heart because what he's defending is like being bullied and being made fun of, and that's what he's defending. And to me, like, I've always wanted to defend myself through bullying and stuff. I mean, I used to get in fights and stuff from bullying. I used to always get my ass kicked, but what I started doing was just becoming friends with like the biggest dude in school, and they would just beat the shit out of anyone that said anything. Even if someone was like, "Hey, what's up, little man?" Like, even being cool, like the dudes would just be like, "What'd you call him?" His name is Pancho. Call him fucking Pancho. And that always felt good.
Dude, that sounded fucking. His name is Pancho.
Yeah.
Call him fucking Pancho. Holy fuck!
like,
all right,
you know, and
my
dudes
bad,
are being,
Pancho.
like, yeah. So it was
You're
just
already halfway down the block, and
Yeah.
they're like, "All right, Pancho," and you're like, "Go fuck yourself."
so
Panchito. I said Pancho.
So with Dr. Death's character, with that said, Dr. Death's character was someone that was doing something that I could never do, you know. So that felt good. And with the other character, you know, you always want to play like a good, heartwarming character. You know, it makes the girls love you.
Sure, but they love the crazy motherfuckers too.
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah, they do.
I mean, look at how many proposals Richard Ramirez. I mean, Richard Ramirez was getting people's panties, and this guy was a night stalker, serial killer.
Dude, it's crazy that you're saying that because I when studying to be like, or when doing my research on like how like psychopaths and stuff, I watch a lot of documentaries and a lot of interviews, and I was watching this interview like with the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, and I live in Eagle Rock, right next to that Target mall, where he did his first, like, where he kidnapped those two girls. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is where it happened.
This
right
is where
here
it went down.
at this mall. Like, you know, I mean, shit happens everywhere, but
Sure.
dude, the Night Stalker, fucking, like,
Yeah, I was alive during that summer when everybody was fucking like the Night Stalker, and he went by a freeway and blah
Was it
blah blah.
crazy?
Dude, it was
was everyone
just
scared?
everybody was scared as fuck. I used to sleep with the crowbar by my window. Like it was that crazy where like they thought this dude was just gonna break into. Everybody thought this dude's coming to get me. This fucking guy is coming, and it wasn't even like it wasn't like anything we had or I had ever heard. You know, back then there was no internet.
Oh,
so,
no, not at all,
things
yeah.
like Son of Sam, Son of Sam, and
you're
all that.
hearing it through the radio.
And
like on
once
TV news.
and once it airs, it's gone. It's not like you could go reference it in any other way. It's just disappears. So this was all brand new to everybody, and I remember everybody was in fear in Los Angeles of this guy.
How the fuck was he getting love letters, dude?
Oh, once he got arrested, dude, like you've heard the stories,
Some
right?
of these dudes like get like marry in jail. Like there's,
Yeah,
like,
dude. I
crazy
think he got
ladies.
married. I think
Yeah.
he might have got married.
That like
bro, girls were sending him their panties. I mean, there's some girl like, look, that's why everybody that says I can't find a chick, look, bro, what are you doing? What you must be like the most fucking horrible fucking human on the face. Because fucking if Richard Ramirez is getting fucking chicks to send him panties and love letters, the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Ted Bundy too. He married a girl in jail and like got her pregnant, and I think the dude's alive. I'm pretty sure.
His
He has
kid?
to be. Yeah. Imagine the shit he must get. He's
Petty
probably
Jr.
getting panties too.
Bro, I mean, no, but it's like so yeah. So people, women do enjoy the
Both sides.
The
both sides of it, 100%.
Yeah. I guess for me it was just more of a feeling of like, damn, like, you know, like I was able to do like I was able to work on a character and achieve it in the manner that Rob wanted, you know, for me. And now with Rob, like he is known for recycling his actors, using his actors again over and over again.
Kind of like Quentin Tarantino.
He trusts them, you know. He's like, he trusts them to get the job done with whatever's given to them. And they can bring it to life in a way that other people may not be able to. So now I feel like I'm a part of his family, and that's great, you know. Yeah, so it's just a good feeling, that, you know, to feel appreciated.
If you could write your perfect role in the future for a movie, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that right now. I guess in a sense that like with the Rob Zombie, the first breakout role I had, which was the Sickhead character, a lot of people have always like sent like emails, or like not emails but Instagram DMs, like or just messages under like the postings that Rob set. I don't read that many of them because some of them are really bad. But some people, I mean, they're just mean, you know, and it's just like, shit, man. Like, do I write back or don't I? It's like that Ricky Gervais, you know, like,
fucking
should I write
trolls,
back
bro.
or no? And then they're like thinking, I'm going to write back.
Oh, shit.
Fuck you. Who the hell are you? But then my wife got
mother shoulda
really
swallowed
upset
you.
at me for doing that because, dude, if you do that, like, people can just like take a photo image of it, post it on Instagram, and then you're coming off like a racist in whatever you said, or like a homophobe, or like just an evil dude. And you're like,
you're
but I'm
the
not
asshole.
that dude, but like an asshole. And then you come off like that, and you just get blackballed from the industry. Everybody thinks that you're this dude that, well, you don't know what they said, you know, like,
Christ.
but you know, like, it's funny watching that Ricky Gervais stuff because that's like something that we can all relate to. Like, I'm sure you guys deal with it. You're just like,
It's fucking
Fuck it.
trolls, bro.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just looking for fucking attention, you know. And some of the shit that they say is evil, like, you know, like
So,
fucking.
YouTube comments. We talk about it all the time.
We talk about
bro.
those YouTube comments. Yeah, your mom should have swallowed you. You're a waste of fucking human. You're like whatever
Hope
the
your mom gets fucking dude,
AIDS,
The worst.
like the worst shit, dude.
like the worst thing I wrote, like I wrote to somebody, and it wasn't even that bad, but like they wrote, like, when Rob announced me, like, that he was doing me in using me in 3 from Hell, like he was announcing all the actors that are going to play different characters. I just like read a comment, and some dude like was just like, he was just like, oh man, you're gonna use the midget again? He's like, dude, midgets don't make it scary, they make it funny. And I was like, oh, you this motherfucker. so I wrote, like, it wasn't even bad. I'm like, well, I hope that when the movie comes out that you laugh so hard that you choke. And I'm like, and then my wife was just like, you fucking dumbass, what are you doing? You're gonna come. I'm like, well, that's not
on
even
your
that
dad's
bad.
cock.
Yeah. I didn't add that. Like, but that's all I said. And, you know, I'm like, that's not that bad. I don't think, like, the audience would, like, if they, like, I really thought about what I was going to say because I'm like, if he does, like, takes a photo of this, I'm like, everyone's going to be on my side, right? They're not going to think it's bad. But then again, you know,
You
like,
never know,
I ended up
dude.
getting away with it. But it was just like, but that's just a, like, an impulse, you know, that you have that you got to watch out for. But back to like what I was saying, the perfect movie, people are always going, man, I like your character was so awesome, and 31, it would be awesome to see an origin story of like how this dude became the way he is.
The
like,
backstory.
Yeah, like a backstory of like just a prequel of like why this guy is this way, because he was just so interesting. And so I always thought that would be kind of a cool idea, but then it's like, maybe am I too self-absorbed? Like, why is it about me? Like, I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy being a character actor. I enjoy working on these different things. Maybe one day I'll be a lead in something. Which
Candy
you know,
corn.
candy corn I am, but like there's 4 other people, but like it's just different, you know. But at the same time, I really enjoy being just able to work on different types of characters that are complex and deep and have been through a lot.
And you've been in the horror business. Any other genres that you like?
I love comedy, man. I love comedy.
Have you done comedies?
I've done a few, and I have like a few pilots like on the shelf that are sitting around, like, wait, you know, like it's a fine line, because you do comedy, and then, you know, producers or people are like, oh, like, no, we like it a lot, but then we can't like be making fun of little people, or we can't be doing that. There's like a fine line, and I'm
It's
just
a
like,
different world now,
but
man.
it's fucking me. It's not like I'm like,
Sure.
it's not like it's like you agree to it and you do it, and it's not, and I'm one of the producers in it, so it would be different if it's just writers, right? Like other writers that don't live this life, and then putting it together and then putting it out, and it's like, well, why are you making fun of little people in it, you know? But if it's like the other way around, I'm one of the producers.
I mean, Brad Williams has made a career out of making fun of little
no
people.
shit,
Not
and
little
it's so
people, but
funny.
of his life, you know?
Yeah, it was so funny. Like, I saw him at one of his shows, and he was doing the bit on, like, you know, like with little people, like with dudes like me, you know, like we do doggy style better because the girl can just get on her knees, and you know, we're just standing there, so we have like that extra thrust, you know, that power. And then he like looks into the crowd, and I haven't seen him for years, and he's like, Pancho. He's like, yeah, this guy knows what I mean, right? And he's like, I don't know how I know his fucking name. It's weird, right? I fucking know every little person. And then he goes back into his bit, but I'm just like laughing my ass off because it's so true. I don't think we're necessarily better at it in any way. It's just different.
Ask all those dudes' sisters.
Oh shit!
You were skateboarding, bro.
Did a little ollie. Yeah. Bro, listen, I think it's been fucking awesome having you on here. Check out martinmoreno.com for upcoming shows and information. Check out Hooter's new show.
Could have gone pro with Hooter Moreno.
Check it out on his Instagram. It is Hooter Moreno?
Yeah.
Hooter Moreno on Instagram, at Hooter Moreno. Could have gone pro. It's also on YouTube. Check it out. Bro, where could they find you, Pancho?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Pancho Moler P. And then go check out Candy Carn on Amazon Prime. Get it on Blu-ray, on VOD. And check out 3 from Hell. I know that it's done in theaters, but it'll be out October 17th, I believe.
Right before
on Blu-ray, VOD, Amazon Prime. Check it out.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on the YoYoYo podcast, bro. You're freaking much. I'm sure that your freaking star is gonna keep rising, dude.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me. I had a blast. This was fun.
Super fucking talented, dude. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
very, very much.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
Peace.